Hey everybody, so today I'm going to show you how to make a cool dirty Melbourne bounce synth. So let me show you what it's going to sound like.
Everybody jump!
Alright, so there you have it. So let's get started with the synth. I'm going to open up a new project. And the first thing you're going to want to do is create a Combinator. And inside this Combinator, we're going to start with one Maelstrom synth. So you're going to go to Instruments, and then get a Maelstrom synth. And right-click on this synth, and click the Reset Device. And this will bring up the initial patch and or init patch. So this synth, just to start off, is going to have a polyphony of 1, so that only one note can play at a time. It sounds better that way. And let's give it a little bit of portamento, I'd say around 26. For our first oscillator, why don't you go ahead and turn off this mod A? We're not going to use it, just on the top. But let's go to this first oscillator here, and we're going to select the electronic oscillation. And we're going to bring our motion down to -38. And we're going to take our shift down just a tad to -2, I should say. Sorry, -2. Bring the octave up 1 so that it's at 5. And our index, this is very important to get this one exact. Take the index and move it to 49. Now, if you ever have trouble getting an exact number, like as you see here, it's only letting me get to 48, you hold down your Shift key on your keyboard and then move slowly to the right, and you will be able to select every single number. So 49 is the number you're going to want for that. Now let's go over to our envelope over here, and so we're going to want our attack at 0. We're going to want the decay to be at 43, and we're going to want the sustain to be at 63. 64 is fine for this one, and our release will be at 43. 44 is fine, anywhere close to there. All right, and then you are going to want to have this button that routes oscillator A to the shaper to be selected, and we're going to just turn on the shaper, have it on sine, and bring our amount down just a little bit to 56. Now let's jump back over here and go to oscillator B and turn this puppy on by clicking this number right here, and we're going to select the Jew's harp. And this one is going to have an index of 47. This is also needs to be exact. So if you can't get 47, remember the Shift key trick. And our motion is going to be at -8. And our shift will be at -42. Now, this octave we want to bring down to 3. You can leave all these alone. Now take our attack on the envelope and bring it to 0. The decay should be at 43. We want it to be exactly like the one above it. 43. I think this one was down to 64 or 63. And this one we had at 43. 42, 43, okay, we'll do 44, so it matches the one above. Okay, cool, so 44 for that one. Now you're going to want to turn on both of these, which routes filter B to oscillator B and oscillator A to filter B. You want those both on, and we're going to just turn on the AM, put it on the AM filter setting right here, and have the frequency all the way to the right and the resonance all the way to the left at 0. Now this filter A up here, we're going to want the resonance up a little bit, I'd say at 20, and we're going to bring our frequency all the way up. Now we're going to use this filter envelope up here a little bit, so turn your amount up to around 36, and then bring your attack to 36 as well, 2 36s. And the decay we will have at 27. And the sustain will be at 64. We're there and release. So you just leave it as is, like that. Now the last thing we're going to do is go over to this mod B, and we're going to go to the 10th envelope, which looks like this. Looks like a curve going up. We're going to turn on the tempo sync for the modulator. We'll bring this to 1/8 time for the rate. And the only thing we're going to touch is the motion, and we're just going to bring this motion a little bit to the right to around 12. Perfect. Now I think that this is all we are going to do to the actual synthesizer. Let me play it. Yep, doesn't sound very cool, but that's where you're going to start with. The next thing we're going to do is just to widen up this sound a little bit. I would create a DL1 digital delay line, just their normal delay, and bring that dry wetness down to around 20. Now take your pan and let's pan it either. You can do right or left depending on whatever you want to do, but bring it to around 36 or minus 36 if you're going to go to the left, and bring your feedback all the way down to 0. Now take this number, bring it down to 1, and then click the millisecond button right here, MS. And then with your arrow keys, bring it down to about 26. And you can play around with any of these numbers in the 20s, but in the 20s, what this is going to do is it's going to just take the signal and really quickly do a really short delay that's hard panned, or not hard panned, but pretty hard panned to the right. So it's going to create a wider sound for us. So now if you play it, you might be able to hear this, you might not, depending on what you're listening on. Yeah, so it's a little bit wider. Okay, cool. Next thing we're going to do is create a distortion unit. That is the Scream 4 distortion unit. And we're going to have our damage down to about 36. We're going to leave it on the overdrive setting. With parameter 1, you're going to want to bring it to 109, or 110 is fine. Okay. And with parameter 2, you're going to want to have it at 123, which is almost all the way up. And then we're going to turn on this EQ here and just boost the lows a little bit. I bring it up to about 15. Leave the mids where they are and boost the highs a teeny bit by maybe 7. Now this one's important. Let's turn on the body so that we can really make the sound a little bit cooler. And you're going to want to bring your resonance to 71. You're going to want to bring your scale to 86. And bring the auto to 79. Now go over to this type and bring it to type E all the way at the bottom. And you can leave the master level on that. Now we're going to create a second. Let's listen. I'll let you guys listen to it now. Alright, so it's gotten a little bit thicker. Let's do another distortion unit. So create another Scream 4 right below that other, the one we just did. And with this one, you're going to want to have the damage at around 30. Leave it on overdrive as well. And then with this parameter, let's do one at 112. And this one we can bring down to 16. So 112 for parameter 1 and 16 for parameter 2. Let's turn on this low cut and really boost the lows on this one. I'd bring it up to about 31. Leave the mids where they are and also bring those highs up a little bit, maybe around 11. And with this one, we are going to turn the master level to 90. 89 is fine. I don't know, let's do it to 95. That's what I did on the last one. So 95, you're actually going to boost it by a few dB. All right, so the next step is to do a little bit more EQing. So I'm only going to show you one of the EQs just so that this tutorial does not go on forever. I think I did 4 EQs, but they were very minor. So you can EQ yourself, but I'll show you the EQ that matters the most. So create one equalizer, hit the low cut button, move over to the low shelf and hit that. Bring the frequency all the way down to 30 hertz. And bring the gain down to minus 13. We're going to be dropping this 13 dB. And this Q we're going to bring to 62. Or leave at 62, I should say. Now select parameter 1. And for this one, we're going to have the frequency to 104. Our gain we're going to bring up to 6.9, so we're really pumping. And our Q we're going to have all the way to the left at 1. So this is going to give us a big boost in those low mids and some of our lower frequencies, even though we cut our lowest frequencies. Next, we're going to go over to parameter 2, and we're going to enable that. We're going to take our frequency, and we're going to move it to 1.928. And we're going to take our gain and boost it by about 6, maybe 6.3. Yeah, let's do 6.3. And then with our Q, just drop it down a little bit to about 4.9 so we get that nice shape over here. Now let's do a little bit of a low cut because there's a little too many highs going on, even though I like the effect that these highs up here give you. So we're just going to bring the lows down, some of the highs down here. So to have your frequency go all the way up, we're going to be cutting those highest of the highs. So have your frequency all the way up to 12, and then we're going to be bringing the highs down about 5 dB. 5.1 is fine. And for the Q, make this Q as big as possible by having it to the hard left. And there you go. There's that EQ. So now let's take a listen. So we're sounding right. We're getting that really springy, bouncy sound. And lastly, what I did was I just created 2 different reverbs. And you can reverb as you like. I think reverb's pretty important for this synth, but you don't have to use these ones. You could just create 2 simple RV7s with this. So one RV7 here, and then create another RV7 reverb. So with this first one, let's bring it to the gated setting. Bring the size pretty small, maybe around 46, and that wetness down to about 14. And what that's going to do is give it a little bit more width. Let me bypass that one. So we're getting even wider with that one. Now with this one, let's bring that to a medium room. Bring that size down a bit to about negative 22. And let's have this dry wetness at around 18. And let's have the damp all the way at 0 so that we get the high end of that reverb. And the decay we will bring down to about 32 is fine. And now you have a little bit of reverb, and you got yourself a dirty Melbourne bass synth, whatever you want to call it. This kind of talks at you. Really, you can mess around with these LFOs up here and get some cool effects. That's what I did in the demo I showed you before. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. See you next time.